終わりの F
The 8,034th meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is as follows. Non-proliferation, Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The agenda is adopted. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. After consultations among council members, I have been authorized to make the following statements on their behalf. Statement by the President of the Security Council. The Security Council strongly condemns the August 28, 2017 local time ballistic missile launch by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea DPRK that flew over Japan, as well as the multiple ballistic missile launches it conducted on the 25th of August 2017. The Security Council further condemns the DPRK for its outrageous actions and demands that the DPRK immediately cease all such actions. The Security Council stresses that these DPRK actions are not just a threat to the region, but to all UN member states. The Security Council expresses its grave concern that the DPRK is, by conducting such a launch over Japan, as well as its recent actions and public statements, is deliberately undermining regional peace and stability and have caused grave security concerns around the world. The Security Council, resolute in its commitment to a denuclearized Korean peninsula, emphasizes the vital importance of immediate, concrete actions to reduce tensions in the Korean peninsula and beyond. The Security Council demands that the DPRK not proceed with any further launches using ballistic missile technology and comply with resolutions 1695, 1718, 1874, 2087, 2094, 2270, 2321, 2356, 2371, as well as the statements of its President of 6 October 2006, S/PRST/2006/41, 13 April 2009, S/PRST/2009/7, and 16 April 2012, SPRST 2012/13, by suspending all activities related to its ballistic missile program, and in this context, reestablish its pre-existing commitments to a moratorium on missile launches. The Security Council further demands that the DPRK immediately comply fully with all of its other obligations under all relevant Security Council resolutions, including that it shall abandon all nuclear weapons and existing nuclear programs in a complete, verifiable, and irreversible manner, and immediately cease all related activities, not conduct any further nuclear tests or any further provocation, and abandon any other existing weapons of mass destruction in a complete, verifiable, and irreversible manner. The Security Council calls on all states to strictly, fully, and expeditiously implement all relevant Security Council resolutions, including resolutions 1718, 1874, 2087, 2094, 2270, 2321, 2356, and 2371. The Security Council reiterates the importance of maintaining peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and in Northeast Asia at large, expresses its commitment to a peaceful diplomatic and political solution to the situation, and welcomes efforts by Council members as well as other states to facilitate a peaceful and comprehensive solution through dialogue. Thank you.
يصدر هذا البيان
This statement will be issued as a document of the Security Council under symbol S/PRST 2017/16. I now give the floor to the Council members who wish to make statements, and I start with Her Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States of America. You have the floor, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. President. We called this meeting tonight knowing that we had to come away unified. I personally appreciate your commitment and willingness to move quickly. And once again, all 15 members of the Security Council have spoken in unison. All of us. The United States, Japan, China, Russia, Europeans, Africans, South Americans. We are all together. And what are we saying? We are all denouncing North Korea's outrageous act against another UN member state, Japan. We are all demanding North Korea stop any future missile launches. We are all demanding North Korea abandon its nuclear weapons. North Korea has violated every single Security Council resolution and violated international law. We are all calling on every nation to strictly, fully, and immediately implement all Security Council sanctions on North Korea. The world is united against North Korea. There is no doubt about that. It is time for the North Korean regime to recognize the danger they are putting themselves in. The United States will not allow their lawlessness to continue, and the rest of the world is with us. Thank you.
أشكر السيدة السفيرة ممثلة
I thank the distinguished ambassador of the United States for her statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Japan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Japan welcomes the swift adoption of the presidential statement strongly condemning the most recent ballistic missile launch by North Korea, which flew over Japan, and also demanding North Korea immediately cease all such actions. This demonstrates the unity of the Security Council and sends a strong and clear message to North Korea that the international community will not accept its reckless behavior. We urge North Korea to respond immediately to this call by the international community. Japan will continue to work very closely with Council members and all other member states to reach a comprehensive solution to problems related to North Korea. Thank you, Mr. President.
أشكر السيدة السفيرة.
I thank the representative of Japan, and I now give the floor to the representative of China.
Thank you, Mr. President. The relevant Security Council resolutions contain clear provisions regarding DPRK's launch activities with ballistic missile technology. China opposes such launch activities by the DPRK in violation of Council resolutions. We call on DPRK to comply with the provisions of the resolutions and call on all relevant parties to exercise restraint, avoid mutually provocative actions that might exacerbate regional situation, and work together to safeguard peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. Resolution 2371, adopted by the Council on August 5th, provides for further sanctions against DPRK's nuclear and missile programs and also calls for the resumption of the six-party talks and pledges to seek peaceful, diplomatic, and a political solution to the problem and underscores the importance of de-escalation efforts by relevant parties. All the relevant parties should implement the relevant provisions of the resolutions of the Council in a comprehensive, integrated manner and avoid any rhetoric or action that might exacerbate tension on the peninsula and to create necessary conditions for the resumption of dialogue. The suspension proposal and the dual-track approach put forward by China is a realistic and feasible formula for the proper settlement of the peninsula issue. We hope that all the relevant parties will give it serious consideration and respond positively, working with China to open effective paths for the settlement of the peninsula issue. China is always committed to the goal of denuclearization of the peninsula, the maintenance of peace and stability on the peninsula, and the settlement of the issue through dialogue and consultations. China stands opposed to any chaos or war on the peninsula. Enhancing military deployment on the peninsula won't help towards achieving the goal of denuclearization or regional stability. The deployment of the THAAD system in Northeast Asia severely jeopardizes regional strategic balance, undermining the strategic security interests of all regional countries, including China. It will further escalate tension on the peninsula, making the issue more complicated and intractable. China also urges the relevant parties to halt its deployment process and dismantle related facilities immediately. China also urges countries to stop the practice of resorting to their domestic legislations, imposing unilateral sanctions on individuals and entities in other countries. The realization of denuclearization of the peninsula and its lasting peace and security is in the interest of all parties. We hope the relevant parties can, along with China, play their due role and assume their share of responsibility to bring the peninsula issue back to the right track of peaceful dialogue. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished ambassador of China for his statement, and I'll give the floor to the distinguished ambassador of the Russian Federation.
Mr. President, once again, we voice our position in principle vis-a-vis the inadmissibility of Pyongyang's nuclear missile program. This must be expeditiously and promptly put to an end. The DPRK's ballistic missile launches constitute a major risk to the sea and air transit in the region and jeopardize the lives of ordinary civilians, in this instance, the citizens of Japan. We call for compliance with the Security Council resolutions in full. Pyongyang must cease the banned programs and return to the NPT non-proliferation regime and IAEA safeguards and join the Chemical Weapons Convention. At the same time, Security Council members must seek peaceful, diplomatic, and a political solution to the issues plaguing the Korean Peninsula. The Council must seek to reduce tensions in this region. There is no other way. We object to the DPRK's missile launches. However, as we repeatedly noted, addressing the issues plaguing the peninsula through sanctions and pressure alone is impossible. This path will not enable us to achieve the sought-after result, insofar as that path does not propose any options for engaging the DPRK in constructive negotiations. There can be no military solution to the issues plaguing the Korean Peninsula. We believe that all further Security Council resolutions on the DPRK must explicitly underscore that fact. We must also preclude additional unilateral sanctions on top of those being imposed by the Council itself. In order to normalize the situation in the Korean Peninsula, there is a need for an approach with both an end to the DPRK's missile tests and an abandonment of military infrastructure buildup, including the THAAD system. The exercises being conducted must be scaled down. There is an urgent need to create an atmosphere of trust amongst states in the region, and in principle to create an architecture of security in Northeast Asia. The roadmap for settling the host of issues plaguing the Korean Peninsula can be constituted by the joint Russian and Chinese ideas. They were advanced in various formats, including the joint Russo-Chinese statement dating 4 July. Once again, we categorically reject military solutions to settlement of the Korean Peninsula, of the issues plaguing the Korean Peninsula. Political tools must be leveraged. We are pleased at the fact that this is the approach that has been enshrined in the presidential statement that has just been adopted. Thank you.
أشكر السيد ممثل الاتحاد.
Thank the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation. There are no other speakers on my list, and I declare the session adjourned.